Hello everybody, my name is David, but you can call me Rev, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. Last time, we got through a lot. We had to watch Hermes take down one of his creations, which he honestly really did not want to do at all. And we ended up meeting Vanat, who we later learned that she was able to figure out that we came from the future. Now we're going to be heading back to her place to maybe discuss things further with everybody now that our secret's out. My apologies, but before we get along, a colleague has tasked me with a matter which I would rather not leave unresolved. It involves finding a certain concept engraved crystal, and the quick-fingered Aureus which made off with it. An Aureus, you say? I think we might have seen the culprit before being distracted by the business with the shark. Would you like us to follow its etheric trail? That would, of course, lead us only to the Aureus. There's no guarantee that it hasn't dropped or stashed away the crystal you seek. Please. Even that much would be enormously helpful. While you are hunting down the thief, I can fall behind and scour the forest floor just in case. Could I ask you to join the search? I would appreciate another pair of eyes to cover the land to the west of here. Many thanks. There's a small bridge leading to Poitsenoikos, so let us meet up once we've exhausted our efforts. Wait. Homie went west? Also, I don't like that coral deer combination. That thing's spooky. Our last searcher returns. I'm afraid the Aureus no longer had the crystal, nor was able to find it as I followed in its wake. I don't suppose you fared any better. Contrary to popular belief, I may say, I did fare better. The crystal. Well done. Wonderful. Now I can focus on your tale without that missing concept nagging at my mind. Have you always had a knack for finding things? I've often been asked to do so. Oh, you too. See, some of us seem destined to always be searching for ourselves and for others. Long ago, when I held the seat of Azim, I was forever trekking back and forth across the star in search of answers to people's problems. Naturally, the need for such journeys has lessened considerably since I entrusted the position to my whimsical successor. Yet I am still eager to come running should an old acquaintance or new interest require my personal attention. That is what brings me to Elpis, in fact. Many times has my presence been requested, my thoughts, my opinions sought concerning the habitat of this or that creation. Agreeing to help locate the missing crystal was a minor distraction, which now promises to become a major revelation. How strange and wonderful it is the way one thing leads to another, wouldn't you agree? Thank you again for your timely help. Now then, it's time I return this stolen property. If you go ahead on my accommodation, I will join you as soon as I have attended to the task. Follow the path straight ahead to the building at the top of the slope. I have the entire place to myself, so speak without fear of being disturbed or overheard. Emetselk's not going to appreciate this conversation. But there's only so much we can do about that, right? Anyways, I'll go ahead and meet you guys in the humble abode of the knot, because I have a tuning to do. Answers.
A wonderful aroma. I feel more relaxed already.
Would that I had sweetmeats to offer, but I travel light out of habit. There's plenty of hot water though, so please have as much tea as you like.
Thank you.
Now then, will you tell us your tale?
I'll say be prepared for a ride because I have 3 expansions worth of, information to tell you. 4, actually. The world has been sundered, broken into shards. So we might as well start from the very beginning, right?
Why don't you start from the beginning?
This is the beginning. What do you mean? Everyone's sitting there looking like, oh my god. Asians. You. Zodiac. Final days.
Preposterous. Utterly preposterous.
Told you.
While not the words I would have chosen, I too have my doubts. Much of it borders on the incredulous. What of you, Vanar?
I believe him like every word.
Not knowing the precise details of the first final days, it is difficult to determine the veracity of the tale. Supposing it is all true, I must ask myself why I would do what I did. Why would I feel I had no recourse but to oppose the 14 and create this Hydaelyn? Circumstances change, of course, but it would not have been an easy decision regardless. No, there must have been a reason. One compelling enough to force me to take such drastic measures.
The end of the world?
Then there is the Elpis flower, which I said would serve as a guide. That it's of import to your mission is plain, but your presence here leads me to believe that this place also holds significance.
Probably learning about Hermes, right?
What could it be? What are we meant to accomplish?
I'm thinking it has something to pertain to Hermes.
Might it not be simply thus? In the future whence he came, the final days could not be averted. Mankind has no choice but to flee the star. By alerting us to that eventuality, perhaps you wish to pave the way for other futures.
Theoretically speaking, it is a possibility.
But that doesn't change the fact that mine couldn't be averted, right?
Yet if that were my primary objective, I see no reason to guide our friend to Elpis specifically. The capital and Amarot, or even my own home would be more logical destinations.
True, true. I note also that Hydaelyn did not specify a point in time to which he must return. By this, it may be inferred that it was not critical that we should meet.
Mm-hmm.
Alternately, she had reason to believe that our paths would converge, coincidental though it may seem.
This is quite a puzzle, and we do not have all the pieces.
Hardly any. But we do have one immutable fact. If the final days are indeed as described, they will bring death to all that I hold dear. Yet despite being afforded long years of preparation, the only provisions I could make were for flight. Nay, my first and foremost endeavor would be to find a way to forestall the coming doom.
The seal.
That even the 14 failed. Mayhap you deemed it impossible.
Nothing is impossible. This I have always believed. And if Hydaelyn is indeed me, she would believe the same.
Listen to yourself. Are you seriously entertaining the notion that you are a messianic figure in some far-fetched tale? Well, I will not. I refuse to accept that our world could be undone by some unforeseen calamity. I also take offense to my portrayal as a megalomaniacal madman. To sacrifice oneself for the star is a noble act, and I would hold those who gave themselves to this zodiac in the highest esteem. Yet, you claim I recreated Amarot and populated it with phantoms of our people? A bizarre indulgence that would be insulting to their memory.
We have more proof?
Worse still, I even invited you there. Literally invited my own downfall. Why would I do something so idiotic and inexplicable? Now, I will allow that the hypothetical task of restoring our world would be daunting in the extreme. The thought of having to bear such a burden for 1,000 lives horrifies me. But I would never forsake my duty. I would never forsake my brethren. You do not know me.
You're right. I don't.
I've had my fill of your fiction. I will return to my duty, and you will not bother me again.
Emmett Selk! Wait!
You've seen much of Elpis already. If you have any observations to share, I should like to hear them.
Hermes and Medion somehow involved. That's the only dialogue option that made sense to me.
Creation Meteon, you say? If Dynamis is the self-same energy as Akasha, as it likely seems, then those two may well be at the center of the calamity to come. This warrants further investigation.
Maybe Medion becomes the first
With that
creation to
settled,
become unstable?
it is time for action. The missing pieces of the puzzle are here, I'm certain of it. And when you find them, the picture my future self has painted will be complete, and you will have your answer. And suffice it to say, I will aid you in your quest.
Hey, we got the knot. So I don't blame Emmett Selk for feeling the way they did. Well, wish we just had more proof, like, on our person.
Have faith. If Emmett Selk is the man Azum described to me, we've not seen the last of him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he'll warm up and come around to us eventually. Shall we begin our investigations then? I am acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor received by the chief overseer of Elpis. Of the man himself, I know only that which is common knowledge. Thus, I suggest we fall back to the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Media, and I have a good idea of where we might begin. Oh, I was about to be very upset they are about to make me go back down, and then like I have to walk like somewhere different. Although, what must be done must be done. See, the woman you're standing in front of yonder building? Her name is Ismene. She is the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I recall, she has held her position here for quite some time. Chances are she can provide us with some insights. Go ahead and ask some questions. I'll help with drawing out answers if need be, but I leave the choice of topic up to you. Questions, for me, Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties at the moment. Alright. I'm not in the duty finder, so let's go ahead and have our questions with Heidelin, right? Heidelin, sorry, but not. Greetings, Zbane. My friend here is deeply curious about Chief Hermes, and I was wondering if you might indulge him. Certainly, Mistress Venat. Anything to be of service. What do you wish to know? What kind of person is Hermes? Well, I can only answer from my own experience, but I would describe him as a quiet man, reserved, you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as Chief Overseer. The man is a walking archive when it comes to life forms. He can discuss any species in incredible detail, and is the leading authority on concepts with the power of flight. That answers your question. Is there anything else? How long has Medion been here? I cannot rightly say. As the Chief's personal creation, Medion has not been subjected to observation and study like other concepts. So one day she was simply there. And what do you make of her abilities? I understand that she is a highly unusual familiar, able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind. Exactly how she was created with that talent, however, is a mystery to me. My apologies. I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had the occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you trust him? I beg your pardon? I've known Chief Hermes for many years. Though I cannot say we are close, he has never withheld information to the detriment of our duties, if that's what you mean. Forgive us. We seem to veer slightly off course here. Is there perhaps someone else who can tell us more about Medion? That would be Timaeus. He has similar expertise with flying concepts and is much more eager to discuss the subject. You'll find him conducting his observations on the bank of the stream, somewhere to the east. Oh, and unless you take particular joy in rambling discourse, I suggest you keep your questions concise. I shall keep that in mind. Thank you for your patience and your insight. Think nothing of it. If there's aught else you need during your stay, please don't hesitate to ask. Come, I think we've taken enough of Ismene's time. Ismene? Ismene? Ismeme? I'm a meme. Alright. So, pretty much so, Venat's gonna be talking to other people while I'm talking to other people. Alright, let's find the Timonos, Tim, Timmy John, Tim Tootie, Fairy Odd Parents. Yes! Look at him, we found him, Timaeus. Yes, I'm Timaeus, but please keep your voice down. Startle the birds. Alright, interrogation time, baby. Well, it's not really interrogation as much as just asking questions. So, what is it that you wish to speak about? Is it true you're an expert on flying creations? Fellow enthusiast, are you? Well, settle in. We can discuss the finer points of this fascinating craft. My deep and abiding love of avian artistry can be chased down to back with... Yeah, I realized what I was doing. Sorry, that was a lot of information. You're hoping for my opinion on Chief Hermes' creations. Then why didn't you say so? Those beings which soared through the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favorite of the creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated, I guess. What sets the Chief's creation apart, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high they disappear from view. Others which traverse through the boundless sky in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we who prize elegance from a form of all us are dumbfounded by his genius. Medion 2 is a marvel then? My opinion on that matter would be superficial at best. Despite my admiration for Medion as a concept, I've never delved too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise, her abilities are a mystery to me. If she's Hermes should choose to submit Medion's concept to the Bureau of the Architect, then the design will be registered for public scrutiny. Analyzing Kulik's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. Of course, if you came to me, a fellow artisan looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. I could tell you more of her nature if you like. No. Oh, unless you're sharing such information in hopes of receiving a constructive opinion on the application of advanced creation techniques, then I have... Maybe I'll choose the right answer someday. Alright, I do not care. Dynamis and Entelekes. Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there not a flower made here in Elpis which exhibited the properties of one or the other? It must have been centuries since I've last heard anyone speak of such things. And you know how they relate to Medion and her design. Then why bring up the subject? I'm flattered that you sought my insight, but I cannot afford to neglect my... Okay, I must... Did I mess up? Okay, no. Ah, good timing. I finished my own investigations not long ago. Have you had any new findings to share? Kind of? I see. Even an expert in the field had little understanding of Medion's capabilities, let alone an awareness of dynamics. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Medion as his personal project and could provide no details beyond those of which you just told me. Which leads me to think that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we made some progress here, but more information is needed if we are to reach any definitive conclusions. At present, the strongest link we have to the final days is the power of Dynamis, and the Entelekes which can control it. Yet, most scholars are only vaguely aware of these terms, let alone study them in any depth, except for Hermes, it seems. Thus, I am inclined to stay our current course, and learn all we can about the Chief Overseer and his familiar. And on the subject, was there aught else of note you can tell me about Medion, aside from her unorthodox method of communication? Alright, she has sisters. I wish you'd mentioned that earlier. In any event, would you care to elaborate? Well, I guess we don't know where they are. They're across the star, right? So, these siblings of hers now travel the grand expanse in search of deeper meaning. Thank you. Though the mystery at hand remains unresolved, I feel like you've touched upon a vital clue, one we should keep in mind as we continue. Next, I propose we take ourselves to the I can't even say it. Take ourselves to the next area. And honestly, I was about to say, we are learning a lot. I just want to know what was such a drastic transition for Hermes to go from wanting everything to live to wanting to die. That is the one big mystery that is currently on my mind. Is it of pressing importance right this second? No. Are we going to see that transition potentially happen? Maybe. The tower and one further along are both a part of the area. This facility where they archive all of Elpis's observational and testing records. Despite how they appear from the outside, the interior is actually a vast area of magically interconnected spaces, which, while fascinating, is not the reason we are here, is it? I shall cut my architectural lessons short and see what those two archivists have to share. If you could speak with the one over at the other tower, I shall join you there anon. All right, it looks like we got one more questioning segment, and hopefully we don't do mindless rambling like I was doing before. I wonder if there's a reward for us to handle that differently, I guess. You have questions for me? Certainly. Just one while I conclude my current appointment. Let's do this. Indeed. So if we could provide a comprehensive log of those behaviors, we should then have a sufficient data for our official records. Now, what is it you wish to speak with me about? Well, I want to talk about Hermes, my man. How much do you actually know about the man? Chief Overseer's personal research project, and by that I assume you medium. Such undocumented studies are difficult to track. After all, hardly a day goes past without seeing a researcher trailed by one creation or another. I'm afraid I can't tell you exactly when Medion appeared, only that she now spends most of her time at Chief Hermes' side. Although, I do recall an interesting tale my dearest Ghislaine shared with me. Ghislaine is my partner, and a fellow researcher here in Elpis. She was returning late one night when she caught sight of Chief Hermes sending Medion heavensward, close to them. For several days, she would speak of that scene with wonder, describing it as one of the most beautiful spectacles she had ever witnessed. That sounds like a story I should like to hear. Mistress Vanat, I thought you already returned to the surface. Permit me to thank you again for your invaluable contribution to our concept placement proposal. Pray do not mention it. As you say, my original plan was to leave after that task, but I become engrossed with Chief Hermes' research. Would you do me a favor with retelling the side of which so delighted your Ghislaine? Of course, or you could probably hear from her lips directly if you prefer. At present, she should be observing the subject at the Metabazos Selassie. She does enjoy her time there watching the sea creatures hunt and play, gazing upon the salty waters of the world's oceans, created in such sublime detail. I imagine you must find similar joy in indulging your boundless curiosity, Mistress Fanat, even though such pursuits must continually regretfully delay your return to the star. Indeed they do. 'Tis a rest well deserved, long overdue. During your travels as Azim, that's where we are. And what would Elpis be without your earlier academic work? The theories you've developed served as a basis of many techniques still in use today. Man is a creature of contemplation, but none embody that nature with as much enduring passion as you. I dare say there's not a soul alive worthy of return. I shall rejoice today you depart on your final journey. I will be honored. Well, all right, let's go meet Ghislaine. In a second, at least. We shall meet Ghislaine in a second. Because, in reality, that is the end of today's episode. So, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for stopping on by. If you guys have not already, all my social media is down in the description below. And I hope you guys follow me or join the community on Discord. Anyways, that's it for me. And I will see you guys all in the next one.
Are you all right? I can look after myself, you know.